President Obama saved some of his best stuff for last in his farewell speech to the American nation, calling for the rebirth of civic engagement, praising the American expectations, and calling for all the citizens, regardless of their own political views, to drive in and work together for the common good. Mr. Obama's final speech to the country was blessedly free of the sour grapes, losers that have poisoned much of the public's views in recent weeks by the Democratic who still can't get over the fact that Donald J. Trump defeated Hillary Clinton in November's presidential election. If any, the president seemed a bit humbled by what happened at the polls. Indeed, his first reference to the new president, Donald Trump, came earlier in his speech after some members of the audience in Chicago booed the president reference to Mr. Trump's inauguration on January 20th. He said, "I committed to President-elect Trump that my administration would ensure the smoothest possible transition, just as President Bush did for me." He said, "Because it's up to all of us to make sure our government can help us meet the many challenges we still face." He's absolutely right. To his credit, Mr. Obama has come a long way from when he announced Mr. Trump as unfit for the presidency in August. Mr. Obama recognized that American voters are perfectly capable of making up their own minds about the fitness of their presidential candidate. "We're all in this together." Mr. Obama devoted a large part of his speech to the state of democracy, correctly pointing out that democracy does not require uniformity. "Our founders agreed," he said. "They quarreled, evaluated, they compromised, they accepted us to do the same. But they knew that democracy does require a base sense of solidarity, the idea that for all our outward differences, we're all in this together. Our democracy is threatened whenever we take it for granted," he said, referring to the deplorable rates of voting in which areas of the country. "All of us, regardless of party, should be throwing ourselves into the task of rebuilding our democratic institution." He said, "But remember, none of this happened on its own. All of this depends on our participation, on each of us accepting the responsibility of citizenship, regardless of which way the podium of power happens to swing by." Finally, Mr. Obama rightly said that America is exceptional, that Americans have shown the capacity to change and make life better for those who follow. This was one of the president's finer speeches. If he had lived by some of these words while pushing through with his agenda, the nation would be in better shape. But give him credit for plugging civic engagement. It was a classy exit by a two-term president who is living proof that every citizen can make a difference. His appeals for a common purpose and a greater perseveration were most timely, even inspirational for our future generation.